All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're opening up a dusty, cold case dossier from 1966 Brazil, and honestly, it completely defies both science and logic. We're looking at an event that feels like a script for a vintage sci-fi movie, but it is a totally real, truly bizarre historical reality. It's known as the lead masks case, and it's baffled theorists, scientists, and authorities for literally decades. So as we go through the facts pulled straight from the historical records, I want you to put on your detective hats with me. We are going to examine a mystery where every single clue we uncover just seems to make the puzzle even more complicated.
As your lead investigator today, here's our agenda. First, the Niterói discovery. Next, the crime scene log, followed by the cryptic notebook. Then we'll look at the 1966 investigation delay, weigh the theories, and finally wrap up with the enduring questions.
Section 1. The Niterói discovery. A shocking find on the hillside.
Okay, picture this. It's the afternoon of August 20th, 1966. A young boy is out on a rugged hillside, just flying a kite. A completely normal, everyday thing, right? But then he stumbles upon two lifeless bodies resting in the brush. He obviously runs straight home, and his family informs the local authorities by the evening. But here's where things start to drag. The police don't actually navigate the rough terrain to reach the bodies until the very next day. Section 2. The crime scene log. Inventorying the bizarre evidence. So, looking at our evidence log, we are faced with a wildly out-of-place scene. Let's break this down together. Our victims are identified as Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana. They were two electronics technicians from a city just northeast of Rio. But why on earth were they lying next to each other on a remote hillside, wearing formal suits and waterproof coats? And it gets weirder. Both men were wearing heavy lead eye masks. You know, the kind you might use to protect your eyes from intense blinding light or radiation. Right beside them, an empty water bottle and a packet containing 2 wet towels. And crucially, there were absolutely zero signs of a physical struggle or trauma. It really looks as if they simply lay down and just waited. Section 3. The cryptic notebook. The centerpiece of physical evidence. Now we get to the smoking gun, a small notebook found right next to the bodies. Think of these instructions like a recipe that's missing its most important ingredient. We have the exact steps, but no idea what we're actually making. Let me read this translation to you. 1630, be at the agreed place. 1830, swallow capsules. After effect, protect metals, await signal, mask. I mean, wow. They had an appointment. They deliberately ingested something. And they were anticipating some kind of specific, maybe dangerous effect that meant they needed to protect metals and wear those heavy lead masks while waiting for a signal. Section 4. The 1966 investigation delay. The impact of time and terrain. To really grasp why this is still an unclosed file today, we have to put ourselves back in 1966 Brazil. We take things like drones and off-road response vehicles completely for granted now. But back then, navigating the rough, elevated brush of that Niterói hill meant the fresh crime scene was just sitting there, exposed to the elements, for a full 24 hours before the police even laid eyes on it. 70%. Because the autopsy was delayed by about a week in total, the bodies reached 70% decomposition. It's much like a melting ice cube left out in the hot sun on that rugged terrain. Vital, irreplaceable evidence simply evaporated over time. The biological clues were literally vanishing right in front of them.
And here is the absolutely crucial point. This extreme decomposition made it scientifically impossible to identify the capsules they swallowed. The natural decay process was causing such severe toxic reactions that the coroner was forced to completely cancel the autopsy. Basically, the one scientific method that could have definitively told us what substance was in those capsules and how they actually died was abruptly taken off the table. Science essentially hit a massive brick wall.
Section 5. Weighing the theories. Hypotheses without proof. Since we lack the hard data, as impartial investigators, we have to look at the competing theories. On one hand, you have the scientific spiritualism angle. A friend actually came forward stating the two men were trying to connect with extraterrestrial beings. In this scenario, they crafted the lead masks to shield their eyes from the blinding energy a UFO might emit. But then, on the other hand, you have the more grounded earthly theories. Maybe they were experimenting with highly volatile psychedelics, and it led to an accidental, fatal overdose. Or maybe they were amateur scientists testing protection against harmful radiation. But you see the problem, right? Without that autopsy, every single one of these theories is totally plausible but completely unproven. We have to look at them all as fascinating possibilities that lack empirical proof.
Section 6. Enduring questions. An open case file.
That cryptic little notebook leaves us staring at some massive investigative dead ends that neither science nor logic can answer for us today. Why did two completely rational electronics technicians hike up a steep hill in formal suits just to swallow unknown capsules? What was actually inside them? When the notebook says protect metals, what metals were they talking about? And honestly, the most chilling question of all, what was the signal they were patiently waiting for behind those heavy lead masks? So, I invite you to play detective with all the evidence we've just reviewed. This case is proof that sometimes reality is way stranger than fiction. It's a giant puzzle where the final pieces just evaporated into the Brazilian air back in 1966. Look over the facts, weigh that bizarre inventory, and read those cryptic notes over in your head one more time. And ask yourself, what do you think they were waiting for on that hill?